We're going to be doing a new course very soon on this channel, and the new course is going to be aimed at intermediate learners. I've actually done a lot of videos on this before. It's going to be looking at very common, shouldn't say very common, it's going to be looking at common mistakes, mistakes that I hear all the time. And I'm going to take you through a few mistakes right now that just came up in the last few weeks from my students, because this is where I get my material from. I take the mistakes from my lessons, and so I know that these are mistakes that students very often make. And I'm going to be making a new course on Udemy. It's going to be called English for Intermediate Students. But really, I think you'll find that it's perfectly suitable for advanced students as well. And we're going to be looking at really typical mistakes. I've probably done about 100 videos, maybe a few, maybe 90, maybe 85 on common mistakes already. But I'll be putting it into a course so that you get questions afterwards. After each and every lesson, there'll be questions, just like the other courses that I already sell on Udemy. And I'll be making another course aimed at those common mistakes. So let's have a look at some mistakes that have been made by 2 or 3 of my students just in the last couple of weeks. And these are what I consider typical mistakes. And so I think that you might make some of these mistakes as well. So let's look at the first one. I stucked. Now, I hope that you're aware that stuck is actually an adjective. It's an adjective. Okay, it can be a verb, to stick. This is the verb, the infinitive, to stick. And then you can say, I stuck a poster on the wall. And that means attach, to stick, to attach. Like to glue or something like that. But stuck is an adjective or a participle. And get stuck is what you need to say if you want to say, I got stuck in traffic. Well, I got stuck in a lift. Maybe the doors refused to open. They wouldn't open. And so you got stuck in a lift. So please don't say I stucked, because that will certainly be wrong. It's either I stick or I stuck or I got stuck. So another common mistake here is you just soak all these phrases, and this is unlucky. The student's very close to being correct here. All you got to do is add an up. You need a phrasal verb here, because soak up means absorb. You can soak up the sunshine. You can soak up the atmosphere. I've just come back from Bulgaria, and I soaked up the atmosphere out there in the hotel, and it was lovely. It was a lovely atmosphere. It was a really good holiday. I really enjoyed it, and I've come back home, and I'm raring to go. I've got plenty more lessons for everybody. And so all the student's done is forgotten the word up. We do need soak up when we mean absorb. And then that sounds a lot better. You just soak up all these phrases. And yes, we do use it metaphorically like that. In fact, we use it like that all the time. And it sounds very natural. So please do use these phrasal verbs. And please buy my phrasal verbs course if you want to work on your phrasal verbs. So if we look at the next mistake, it's a phrasal verb mistake. It can put us back. No, it can bring us back. It takes us back to our childhood. When something brings you back or takes you back, it returns you to a past state. It makes you remember something from your past. And so this is a very common, well, it's a pretty common phrasal verb. It's certainly on my phrasal verb course. It's certainly in my phrasal verbs book, Visual Phrasal Verbs, which you get for free when you buy the course. And so please do go and join that course if you like phrasal verbs. They will help you sound very, very fluent. So it can take us back to our childhood. You can also use summon up and conjure up. This event or the smell of paint summons up memories from my childhood. So that's used slightly differently, but it's also used for memories. When something provokes memories, then it brings it. Then it summons up, it conjures up, even brings up memories, but summon up and conjure up are very good there. Okay, the next one's an interesting mistake. He started to feel something very strange. It's possible, but it's not what the student meant. The student meant he started to feel very strange. Now, what we see here is that the verb feel in English can function in at least 2 different ways. It can function as a copular verb, in which case we use the one on the right. Yeah, he started to feel very strange. It's the correct version. And I want to make that clear that the one on the right each time is the correct version. The one on the left is what the student said, and they should have said the one on the right. Yeah, the one on the left is the incorrect version. But if you feel very strange, that's feel as a copular verb. You are saying that you felt, and then that adjective. Yeah, I felt happy, I felt sad, and not I felt myself happy. No, never. I felt happy, I felt sad, feel plus adjective, because feel can be a copular verb. However, feel can be an ordinary verb. And this is the strange thing about feel. It could function in one way or the other. Now, usually it functions as a copular verb, usually. But if you say, I felt, what could we say? I felt a needle going into my arm. Yeah, it's not something I have felt for a very, very, very long time. But if you say that, notice that you are not the needle. Yeah, you are not, you're not making an equivalence between you and the needle. Yeah, when you say, I felt strange, that certainly, the strange is referring to the subject. It's a subject complement. But when you say, I felt a needle going into my arm, or I felt someone tap me on the shoulder, yeah, that's a very different kind of feel. That's feel with an object. That's feel used in as an ordinary verb. So remember that feel plus something means touch something. It means feel something. Yeah, I felt a needle go into my arm. It means that you felt that sensation of the needle going into your arm. So feel plus object, it's not as common as feel used as a copular verb, but you only use it when you mean touch something or when something touches you. And you feel that sensation of something touching you. So somebody tapping you on the shoulder. Yeah, I felt someone tap me on the shoulder. Something like that. Yeah, I hope I've made that clear, because it's quite an interesting verb, feel. And it means that sometimes you can create sentences which are really ambiguous. You know, when you say something like, I felt an idiot. I felt an idiot pushing past me on the platform. This is in my grammar in theory and in practice book. I use this example to try to show you that you can make ambiguous sentences with feel, because it can be copular or it can be an ordinary verb. And so, yeah, I felt an idiot pushing past on the platform. That could mean that you are the idiot, or it could mean I felt an idiot brushing past my arm. Yeah, it could be one or the other. It could be you feeling a bit of an idiot, or it could be you feeling some other idiot brushing past you. Okay, so it's an interesting verb, and you want to be aware of that, and that will help you with, it will help you to avoid mistakes with the verb feel. So let's go on to some other really common mistakes. She let him to sip. This is a very common mistake, guys. You want to memorize make, let, and maybe help, although help can work either way. And so there aren't really mistakes with the verb help. You can say help somebody do, and you can say help somebody to do. Both possible with help. But make and let, no. Make somebody do something in the sense of force somebody to do something. And notice force is with to, force someone to do something, but make somebody do something and let somebody do something. So she let him sip her cup of wine, something like that. Yeah, but it wouldn't have a to. Okay, the next mistake, it works really good. You'll probably hear natives saying this sometimes, yeah, but it's clearly not what we want, yeah? The word good is an adjective, and we need an adverb if we're describing the verb works, yeah? So it works really well. And the same goes for when you say he speaks English really well, not good. You can say he speaks good English. You can say that because then good is functioning as an adjective describing the noun English, but you ought to say he speaks English well, yeah, if you're using it as an adverb. Okay, the next one, there are smells, which, relative clause. When you see which, who, that, you need to be thinking relative clause, and it's useful to study these clauses because they're so common in our writing, they're everywhere. And so when you've got a relative clause, you've got to ask yourself, which word is the which referring to? Now here it's referring to smells, and smells is plural. It's got an S on the end. And so we say smells make. We don't say smells makes. And so there are smells which make us feel scared. Yeah, you've got to do it like that. Okay, the next one, you understand why it made such an influence? No, you understand why it had such an influence. You have an influence on somebody. You don't make an influence. You can influence somebody. You can use it as a verb, and then there's no preposition. Yeah, he influenced me when I was a boy. Something like that. Yeah, or he was influenced by somebody. That's certainly common as well. Okay, the next very common mistake is, can I say very common? I don't think I can say very common. The next common mistake is I spent all my money on something. You spend money on something and you spend time doing something. Yeah, remember that it's gerund as well. Spend time doing something and spend money on something or even on someone. Yeah, and so spend money on, please make sure you're careful with your prepositions. They're not easy. And yeah, on the topic of prepositions that aren't easy, a way of and a way to. Now, I cover this in Master English Grammar. So if you want to know more about like the subtle nuances between prepositions, have a look at that Master English Grammar course. That's aimed at advanced students. And I think the people on that course will also enjoy this course on common mistakes. I'm sure they will. But if we look here at what the student said, he said they have a different way to see. And this isn't quite right. Most of the time, to be frank, most of the time it's a way of. Most of the time, yeah, 90% of the time it is a way of. So they have a different way of seeing things. But I must admit that there are a few occasions where you need to say to. And it's usually, well, it's always when you are talking about some real plan or aim for the future. Yeah, if you say the right way to do this is, you are talking about something real in the future that you want the person to do. And this is very similar to an idea of and an idea to, a chance of and a chance to, be afraid of and be afraid to. All of these are the same, actually, the difference between the of and the to. And I say this because all of them, the of is more like a thought, an idea in your head. And usually when you're talking about a way of doing something, you're talking about the idea in your head. You're not talking about what you're going to do in a second. It's got to be really real for the to part. And it's the same with all of these words. So if you say, I don't know, I was afraid, as a boy, I was afraid of going to sleep in the dark. Anything in the past will be the of, yeah? And here we're talking about as a boy, yeah? Because anything in the past is just an idea, whereas anything in the future, a future opportunity, a future way to do something, a future chance to do something, then you would use to plus infinitive. So something like this, when I went, not when I went, I will go on holiday next week, and I will be afraid to leave the cats on their own. Yeah, you wouldn't say I will be afraid of leaving. No, will, it's the will, the future projection. That means the to plus infinitive is necessary. And so very often that's the case. To plus infinitives look forwards and gerunds look backwards, someone once said. And there's a certain amount of truth to it, certainly, especially with the difference here between way of and way to. And so when you're projecting into the future, that's when you can use the to. But when you're thinking about the past, it's just in your head, it's just an idea, and that's when you'll use the gerund. But for more information, please do have a look at my Master English Grammar course. Of course, you get lifetime membership. I'll be doing some more lessons for that course pretty soon. And I'll be making this new course for intermediates, but advanced students as well, really. And I'm going to be putting a lot of new lessons up on this theme, and it will be on common mistakes, and there will be loads and loads of exercises to help you practice as well. Okay, so please If you're interested in buying any of my courses, then just go and click on the links under the video. They're under each and every video. Not under this one yet, but I'll put them under there in a little bit. But if you just go to any of my videos, you should be able to get cheaper discounts on all of my courses on Udemy. So please, if you're interested in learning English using these courses, please do come along and join us. Okay, so I'm going to put up a little advert for my beginners course in a second. I've still got the beginners course available, and yes, it's still $9.99 discount for the next for that next 5 days. But please remember, because some people say, oh, I can't afford it, you know, $9.99, and I understand that if you're in a country where the wages are much lower, I do understand that $9.99 is a high price for you. But the good news is that Udemy offer this course for much cheaper than $9.99 if you are from a country with much lower wages. They offer it for about £1.50, not £10, yeah? So about a 10% of the price, yeah, of the very cheap price. And so I don't want to hear I can't afford this course. It's actually much, much lower if you're from another country, from a country with lower wages. And I mean any country that's not got the same kind of wages as the UK. The UK is $9.99, but any other country with lower wages, you will be paying a much cheaper price. So what are you waiting for? Head over to Udemy, click on the discount, of course, try to get the discount, obviously. And I'll be pleased to see you on that course. I'll be pleased to answer your questions. I answer all these questions all the time. I even had questions when I was on holiday, and certainly I did my best to answer them. And sometimes people give me very helpful comments as well. They let me know if I've made a mistake somewhere, and that helps to improve the course. So I want to thank everybody who's been doing that as well. Okay, so I'll see you all on Udemy.